After 40, your eyelids thin. Your lash line loses density. The oil glands that keep your eyes lubricated start slowing down. And the mascara you have been reaching for since your 20s? It was not designed for the eyes you have now. 82% of waterproof mascaras tested by Notre Dame researchers contained forever chemicals linked to cancer. The labels do not have to tell you. Some of the mascaras in your bathroom are doing damage right now, not next year. Tonight, we pulled ophthalmology research, ingredient databases that study, and thousands of reviews from women who noticed the exact same thing you did. The mascara that used to work just stopped working. The problem is not your age. The problem is your mascara. By the end of this video, you will know which mascaras are actively damaging aging eyes, and the 3 that actually perform for lids, lashes, and glands that have changed. 10 to stop buying. 3 to switch to. Ranked for eyes over 40. 10. L'Oreal Voluminous Original. The drugstore classic with a formula that has not kept up with what we now know about aging eyes. Voluminous Original goes on heavy, and that weight works against sparse lashes. When lash density drops after 40, a thick formula does not add fullness. It clumps what is left together and makes the gaps more visible, not less. The brush is dense and loaded, designed for the thick lash lines of the 1980s. On thinning, brittle lashes, it pulls during application. Reviewers over 50 consistently describe broken lashes after removal, smudging under the eyes within 2 hours, and a formula that transfers to the upper lid before the first cup of coffee is finished. L'Oreal Group is not cruelty-free, not Leaping Bunny, not PETA certified. For a brand with the resources to reformulate for an aging demographic, they have not done it here. Number 9. CoverGirl LashBlast Volume, marketed on volume, delivered on transfer. The LashBlast brush is one of the fattest on any drugstore shelf, designed to coat every lash in a single swipe. At 25, that is a feature. At 55, when your upper lid now sits closer to your lash line than it did 2 decades ago, that brush deposits as much mascara on your skin as on your lashes. Reviewers describe flaking onto cheekbones by midday and transfer to upper lids so consistent it appears in almost every review from women over 45. The formula is not flexible enough for lashes that have become brittle with age. Traction on removal breaks lashes you do not have to spare. CoverGirl has PETA cruelty-free listing but is not Leaping Bunny certified, meaning no independent supply chain audit exists. The formula has not been updated for the demographic that buys drugstore mascara most. Women over 40. Number 8. Diorshow Waterproof. When a prestige brand charges $32 and puts waterproof on the label, women over 50 pay it believing the price means safety. It does not. Diorshow Waterproof sits squarely inside the category that Notre Dame researchers flagged. 82% of waterproof mascaras tested positive for PFAS, forever chemicals that accumulate in the body and do not flush out. Thyroid disruption. Hormone interference. Links to kidney and testicular cancer. Peer-reviewed. Not contested. Separate from the chemistry inside the formula, the chemistry that makes any mascara waterproof is drying out your meibomian glands, the oil glands in your eyelids responsible for keeping your eyes lubricated. Ophthalmologists have directly linked chronic waterproof mascara use to meibomian gland dysfunction. That dysfunction is the single biggest driver of chronic dry eye in women over 50. It can become permanent. Then comes removal. Oil remover. Cotton pad. Nightly scrubbing on the thinnest skin on your body. Premature wrinkling around the eyes. Lash loss from traction. At $32, you are paying prestige pricing for damage the label does not disclose. Number 7. Urban Decay Perversion Waterproof. Perversion is the name. The irony writes itself. Urban Decay positioned this as the edgy, high-performance mascara for women who want drama. What women over 40 get instead is the same waterproof polymer problem in a black tube with attitude branding. The formula is intensely dark and intensely difficult to remove. Women with dry eye, contact lens wearers, and anyone dealing with lid sensitivity describe burning on application, not immediately, but by hour 3. The heavy formula combined with the drying effect on meibomian glands makes this a particularly poor choice for anyone already managing dry eye symptoms. Urban Decay is owned by L'Oreal Group, not independently cruelty-free at the parent level. The edgy branding is a product of a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate's marketing department. The formula damage is real regardless of what the packaging says. Number 6. Benefit they're real. Waterproof. The ball-tip brush was a genuine innovation when Benefit launched it. The formula has not aged as well as the marketing has. They're real. Waterproof is one of the most difficult mascaras to remove on this list, and removal difficulty translates directly to lash loss and periorbital wrinkling on skin that is already thinning. The rubber ball tip deposits product heavily at the lash tips and on brittle aging lashes. That tip-heavy weight causes breakage. Reviewers in their 40s and 50s describe losing visible lashes during removal often enough that it appears as a pattern across hundreds of reviews on Sephora. Add the waterproof polymer concern from the Notre Dame research. Add the meibomian gland damage from chronic waterproof use. And you have a mascara that costs $27 to cause problems you will spend months trying to undo. Benefit is owned by LVMH. Not independently cruelty-free certified. Number 5. Lancôme Définicils. Lancôme built a 30-year reputation on Définicils. The thin, precise brush and the buildable formula became the standard for what sophisticated mascara looked like. That reputation is what makes this entry particularly important to say clearly. Définicils was designed for the lashes of a 30-year-old, and the formula has not been updated for what happens after menopause. The buildable formula that felt precise at 30 becomes flaky by coat 3 on aging lashes. Reviewers in their late 40s and 50s described Définicils as the mascara that used to be their standard and slowly, without a single dramatic failure, just stopped performing. Not a crash. A slow decline that mirrors what is happening to the lashes themselves, which means women often blame the lashes rather than the formula. Lancôme is L'Oreal Group. No independent cruelty-free certification. At $30 to $38, women deserve to know the formula they are paying for was engineered for a lash line they no longer have. Number 4. Estée Lauder Sumptuous Extreme. Sumptuous is doing a lot of work for a formula that transfers to the upper lid before most women finish their morning routine. Sumptuous Extreme went into Estée Lauder's marketing as the mascara for women who want drama and longevity. What the reviews from women over 45 document is neither. The formula is wet on application, consistently reported as one of the wetter mascaras in the prestige tier. On aging eyelids where the upper lid now rests closer to the lash line, a wet formula transfers during the drying window without fail. Women describe the raccoon eye effect starting at hour 2, not hour 8. At $34, performance that fails before lunch is not a minor inconvenience. It is a broken promise from a brand whose entire equity is built on the idea that aging women deserve luxury that works. Estée Lauder Companies is the parent of both this mascara and Too Faced Better Than Sex. The entry coming next on this list. Same company. Both failing the same demographic. That is not a coincidence. It is a product development gap. Number 3. Too Faced Better Than Sex. $29. 2 hours. That is the full performance window of the #1 selling prestige mascara in America. The name sets a bar the formula cannot clear. Better Than Sex goes on like a dream. The hourglass brush delivers instant volume. The drama is real at application. By lunch, it is on your cheekbones. One reviewer said the flaking was bad enough she refused to wear it to her own wedding. At $29, if a mascara cannot survive a workday, it is not prestige. It is a 2-hour rental. Here is where it becomes medical. Better Than Sex contains synthetic fragrance, perfume, in a mascara. Why would you want perfume next to your eyeballs? The American Academy of Dermatology lists synthetic fragrance as a primary cause of contact dermatitis. Red, itchy, inflamed eyelids. The skin around your eyes is the thinnest on your body. It gets thinner every year past 40. You're paying $29 per tube to apply an irritant to skin that is becoming more irritable with every birthday. Too Faced is owned by Estée Lauder Companies, a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate that looked at its R&D budget and decided what a mascara needed was cologne. PETA certified cruelty-free. Not Leaping Bunny. No independent supply chain audit. The parent company is not cruelty-free at all. Number 2. Maybelline Great Lash. 1971. Nixon was president. Bell-bottoms were not ironic. And Maybelline released Great Lash, the pink and green tube that would go on to outsell every mascara in American history. The formula is largely the same as it was in 1971. That is not a feature. Your mother wore this. Your grandmother probably wore this. Loyalty to a tube and loyalty to a formula are not the same thing. Great Lash applies wet, wetter than almost anything else on the shelf, and takes longer to dry than any modern formula. During that drying window, it transfers to whatever the lash touches. On aging eyelids, where the upper lid now sits closer to the lash line than it did 2 decades ago, transfer is not a maybe. It is a Tuesday. Reviewers describe the same pattern over and over. Still smudging half an hour later. Mascara deposited on lids before the first meeting. One woman called it the mascara you do not want to accidentally rub your eye while wearing. That is not a review. That is a hostage note. The ingredient list still includes methylparaben and butylparaben, preservatives the EU has restricted in some product types over concerns they may interfere with the body's hormone signaling. EWG flags both as moderate hazard. For a formula that has had 53 years to reformulate and has not done it, that fact is its own kind of answer. Maybelline is not cruelty-free, not Leaping Bunny, not PETA. Billions of units sold. Number 1. Maybelline Lash Sensational Sky High Waterproof, 82%. That is the number that should stop you in your tracks. Researchers at the University of Notre Dame tested 231 cosmetics and found PFAS, forever chemicals that do not break down in your body or the environment, in 82% of waterproof mascaras. 88% of the products that tested positive listed nothing about it on the label. Notre Dame physics professor Graham Peasley called the results shocking. Sky High Waterproof is the best-selling waterproof mascara in America. It is at Target right now. The label does not disclose PFAS. The study tested the category, not individual SKUs by name. But this is the category's flagship. It sits at the center of the bullseye. PFAS accumulate. They do not flush out. Thyroid disease. Hormone disruption. Links to kidney and testicular cancer. Documented. Peer-reviewed. Not contested. Even after most CRA, the new federal cosmetics safety law passed in 2022, there is still no requirement to disclose PFAS that enter through raw materials. You cannot read your way out of this. Federal law lets the label skip the part that matters most. And separate from the PFAS concern, the waterproof chemistry is drying out your Maybelline glands, the oil glands in your eyelids that keep your eyes lubricated. Ophthalmologists have linked chronic waterproof mascara use directly to Maybelline gland dysfunction. That dysfunction is the single biggest driver of chronic dry eye in women over 50. It can become permanent. If you're over 50, the PFAS has been accumulating longer. Your glands have less bounce back. Occasional use, a wedding, a pool day, is a different conversation. Daily use, year after year, is where the damage compounds. You cannot avoid what you cannot see. That is the industry's best trick. It ends here. Teach E3 why, oh, you must buy. You now know what is hurting you. Now comes the part worth staying for. Must be you Y3, Ilia Limitless Lash. Clean beauty has no legal definition in the United States. None. A brand can print clean, non-toxic, and pure on the same box, and the FDA will not stop them. The only thing standing between you and a marketing department's imagination is whether someone outside the company is willing to check the work. Ilia is a certified B Corporation. That means B Lab, an independent nonprofit, walked in, audited Ilia's social and environmental performance, and gave it a passing score. Ilia did not grade its own homework. B Corp recertifies every 3 years. The formula backs it up. 99% natural origin ingredients. Shea butter and beeswax conditioning the lash while you wear it. No PFAS. No parabens. No fragrance. Ophthalmologist tested. Leaping Bunny certified cruelty-free, the higher standard, the one that requires actual supply chain auditing, not just a letter from the CEO. Ingredient sensitivity increases with age. What your eyelids tolerated at May 30th cause contact dermatitis at 55. Your immune system gets pickier. Your skin gets thinner. One Sephora reviewer who struggled for years with burning, watery eyes from other mascaras described Ilia as gentle, long-lasting, and easy to apply. 25,000 five-star reviews say the same thing in different words. One coat, designed for wearing, not building. Left to set, it does not flake. 2 coats and you are working against the formula. Around $28 at Sephora and Ulta. Must be UY2, Ilia Fullest Volumizing Mascara. Same brand, same third-party auditor, different brush, different problem solved. And after 50, the difference is the whole game. Limitless lengthens and defines. Fullest adds volume that does not collapse by noon. Because after menopause, the real problem is not length, it is density. You are not losing lash length. You are losing the lashes themselves. Traditional volume mascaras handle this badly. They load heavy product onto sparse lashes and gravity wins by lunchtime. You spent $40 to look more tired than when you started. Fullest was formulated to build weight that stays up. A Sephora reviewer who had cycled through every prestige volume mascara, Lancôme, Dior, YSL, said Fullest was the first that did not collapse on her thinning lashes by the school pickup run. That is the audience this formula was built for. That is the test the prestige brands keep failing. 2 Ilia products on this list is deliberate. When one brand passes every standard, ingredient safety, third-party audit, supply chain cruelty-free, in 2 different brush geometries solving 2 different aging eye problems, it earns 2 spots. Other brands are welcome to catch up. Fully vegan. No beeswax in this formula, unlike Limitless. The packaging is a monomaterial tube with a 39% reduction in carbon emissions per tube compared to the previous version. In an industry that prints sustainability on boxes wrapped in 17 layers of plastic, a tube you can actually recycle is the quietest flex on this list. $29 at Sephora and Ulta. Must be UY1, Thrive Causemetics Liquid Lash Extensions. Every mascara in the worst section of this list failed for the same reason. Pigment painted onto a lash eventually moves. Flakes. Smears. Migrates south and sets up a small black colony on your cheekbones. That is not user error. That is physics. Thrive starts from a different premise entirely. Instead of painting pigment onto the lash, Liquid Lash Extensions wraps each lash in a polymer tube. Tubes do not smear. They do not flake. They cannot transfer. At the end of the day, warm water. The tubes slide off intact. No cotton pad. No oil remover. No lashes on the towel. Your lash line at 10 p.m. looks the way it did at 7 a.m. A beauty editor wore it exclusively for a full year, through yoga, winter runs, and everything in between. A woman over 40 switched from waterproof because it was making her lashes brittle. Her words, "My lashes get compliments from strangers. No smudging. No flaking. No brittle lashes." She described the exact damage the worst section of this list documented, and Thrive fixed it. Free of parabens, fragrance, sulfates, and phthalates. PETA cruelty-free. Vegan. Ophthalmologist and dermatologist tested. And Thrive donates a product for every product purchased, with over 500 nonprofit partners. Every single failure from the worst mascaras on this list, PFAS exposure, fragrance irritation, Maybelline gland damage, aggressive removal, lash breakage, is structurally impossible with this formula. The tube cannot do those things. That is not a better mascara. That is a different technology that happens to look like one. $25, warm water removal. Before you buy any mascara, flip it over. If it says waterproof and the label does not tell you what makes it waterproof, put it back. If curl hold is the only reason you have been reaching for waterproof, a lash curler before any washable formula handles the lift without the formula damage. If the reason mascara does less for you than it used to is that the lashes themselves have thinned, castor oil on the lash line at night is worth trying. Every mascara performs better on healthier lashes. If someone you know is still using waterproof mascara every day, share this video with them. Not because they did something wrong, because the label did not tell them. Subscribe so you do not miss what we found when we started looking at the sunscreen aisle. It makes everything in this video look like a warm-up. In beauty, the most dangerous ingredient is always the one they did not print on the label. Now you know. Sources: University of Notre Dame PFAS, Skin Deep Database, American Academy of Dermatology, Ophthalmology Research on Maybelline Gland Dysfunction, Sephora, Ulta, and Amazon Verified Reviewer Data,